So I am doing a devotional, uh, Lisa Turkis devotional, and you haven't seen it. I just related to this one, especially the last couple of months. Sometimes when we start things, we think we're supposed to immediately be good at it, or like when you first became a, you think that you don't just immediately, you're not immediately good by any means. We continue to have to grow, and sometimes we or may fail or fall short or any of those things. But the importance is to lean on God and pick ourselves back up. So this one is called The Sting of Disappointment. It says, through the fig tree does not, though the fig tree does not bud, and there are no grapes on the vines, though the olive crops fail, and the fields produce no food, though there are no sheep in the pen, and no cattle in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in God my Savior. And that's from Habakkuk 3:17 through 19. And she says, recently a friend asked me if I ever get disappointed. I said yes, and threw out the spiritually sound answer. Then the next day it happened. A huge disappointment whacked me upside the head and sent my heart sinking. I've been asked to be a part of a really big event, one of the biggest of my lives, and things fell apart. Invited, thrilled, excited, honored, and included turned into uninvited, bummed, saddened, disillusioned, and left out. And while I still had solid spiritual perspectives to hold on to, my flesh just needed a minute to say, stink. Because sometimes things do stink, and disappointments come up that make us doubt God really does work out for our good. Right when I wanted to say, this stinks, a few times I spotted a bowl that had been sitting on my dining room table for a while. My daughter Brooke found some caterpillars weeks before, put them in a bowl, and had been holding them hostage ever since. I mean, she'd been loving and admiring them underneath a layer of cellophane. Wouldn't you know that those caterpillars form cocoons inside that unlikely environment? And then, as I was muttering, this stinks, I glanced across the table to a bowl and sucked the word back down my throat. The cocoons were empty. Expecting glorious butterflies, I was confused when I got over the bowl and closely examined the product of my little girl's hopes for new life, moss. I had just had to chuckle. Yet another thing in my day that wasn't quite right, or was it? When Brooke spotted the moss, she was beyond thrilled. Grabbing my hand, she led me outside, ripped off the plastic barrier, and watched the beauty of tiny wings beating, 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 and finally fluttering into flight. As I watched Brooke's sheer delight, I realized she couldn't have cared less if they were moths or butterflies. Creatures that once knew the dirt of the earth had just been given the gift of flight, reaching, soaring up, up, and away. I don't know what's going on. Sorry. And with that realization, the simple creature pulled the corners of her mouth into a smile. Mia, into a smile. Her reaction challenged me to look at my situation with fresh eyes, much like our key verse does. And that was the verses there that I'd already read. In the midst of all things that's disappointing or heartbreaking in our lives, we can fix our eyes on all that seems to be going wrong, or we can choose to purposely praise God with a heart of trust, a heart that remembers He is loving, He is good, and He sees much more purpose in our situation than we do. I had decided to take one step away from disappointment and take one step toward the good God was working towards through the loss of this speaking event. I don't know why that amazing opportunity was offered to me only to be taken away, but I do know this: I'd rather rejoice in what is and what will be than wallow in what isn't. After all, disappointment only stings as long as I let it. So, to me, I took away from this, um, God has all of us here for a reason. We're all together on this Zoom right now for a reason. We are all a part of this company for a reason. We all started these products for a reason. So no matter if you have a bad month, a bad day, a bad week, you lost subscriptions or you lost people or whatever the case may be, um, there's something to look forward to. It's not going to be perfect. Life isn't perfect. Things are going to happen. Um, it could be personal problems, family, whatever. But as long as we keep going forward, we will see the goodness of God in our business, in our lives, in our family, no matter what happens and no matter whatever we run into. So,
That was really good and a really good reminder to like always be focusing on the good. And I know my posture always changes whenever I'm like wallowing something. If I will change my like put on worship music and change my heart to gratitude and be grateful for everything that I do have and the opportunities that are presented. My mom and I were actually talking today. I did a team call for another team and like it brought me back to the very beginning of my journey and like I was just able to share my story and it again like and how far God has taken us. And she made the comment, she's like, it's so easy for us to dwell on the negative or what's not going right, but whenever you go back to the beginning and see everything that he's done and everything that he's taken you through and how faithful he is, it's just so much to be thankful for. Kara, you ready? You muted. I keep asking you.
muted.
There you go.
I'm ready, even though I'm still writing, because it's just so much I want to try to share in just a little short of time. So I'll be reading a lot, so just bear with me. But so this week I came across a video when I'm working at a team doing anything. I'm just either listening to something, just feed my soul with something to help improve and do better. And so I came across this video and it was just like a big light bulb came on. It just didn't come on, it flashed and it keeps flashing because it is so good. And it just is helping me to see where I need to do better. And so I thought, man, I can't be the only one who needs to hear this. So I'm hoping that this will speak to you all too. So and I'm preaching to myself as I'm doing it now too. So hopefully you can take away a gold nugget and just do better with it. So I want to share information with you that I believe will help you get more signups. The topic is on perspective, like where's your perspective and what is your posture like? So let's start off and into perspective. Where does your mind stay most of the time? Are you validating what your mind is telling you? What are you mentally rehearsing every day when you look at getting started and doing your business today? Well, did you wake up saying, I'm so terrible at this. I guess I'll give it another day. Let's try it again. No one wants to hear about what you've got to say. Everyone's heard it. They're just going to say, no, why do this? I'm working so hard, but I'm not seeing any results. Are you playing this in your mind every day? So if you keep rehearsing that, you're going to verify and believe all that to be true. And this is not just in what we're doing as a business, but this is in just even how we feel about ourselves. This is in our relationships with people, with your spouse, your kids. So when you start rehearsing these things that are negative, you're going to start believing it. So, what are you verifying to be true in your mind? What are you rehearsing? So I would challenge you, make this an interactive Zoom today in your comments. I think it's confession time. And I think you all should write in there, what is some of the negativity that you're feeding your mind? So if you want to share it, put in the comments, let everyone know that we're not the only ones dealing with this. So confess it. Let's do it. So let's locate and let's talk about some of those blind sides here. What are some things that we can do daily to overcome that? So what I loved that he said to do was do a daily audit of yourself. You'll get to know yourself and see what kind of person you really are when you do a daily audit. So he said, take a look at the day before. What was my behavior like? What were some of the thoughts that I had? Was I kind? Was I present? Was I loving? Were you short with someone on your team? Were you short with a family member? Were you mad because the checkout line at Walmart was so long, they only had one checker? It forces you to examine yourself and to see what you don't want to be, even though we were. And I'm so guilty, guys. I am so guilty of that. But where did I show up poorly, and what could I have done better? So if we will do that every day, wake up and look at like, okay, did I show up in my business yesterday? And if so, was I sloppy? Just write your list down and then look at it and like, oh man, I was not a good person yesterday. Or like, golly, I had a little bit of sass. I need to fix that. So guilty. But this will leave you with less negative in your life. It's going to help you to deal with that. So whatever emotion and feeling that you're holding on to and what you're attracting is also what you're sending out to the people that you're trying to prospect and deal with. So I'll give you an example that he used. It was so let's say like how you're talking to a salesperson and you're wanting to buy something so bad, but along the way it's just like you're getting some bad vibes, some bad feelings, and you're like, I don't think I'm going to buy from this person. I have actually done that. I have experienced that. And so we don't want to be that salesperson or that person they're talking to about our products that I'm not liking the vibes here. So I'm going to go check it out with someone else. So we don't want to be that person, guys. So check your vibe, check your emotion, your feelings, and see if you need to do a checkup. So do that daily audit and let's see if we can do some transformations. Then the next thing that you'll want to look at is your posture. Posture is knowing or believing what you have, regardless of external acceptance or approval. And so this is super important when it comes to our recruiting, our selling, our prospecting process. So I'm going to give you an example of posture when it comes to someone asking about our business. And this is his example. He said, I was talking to someone and he said, yeah, I want to know, I need a job. I want to hear about your job opportunity. He's like, well, number one, I don't have a job, but I've got a business. He said, are you coachable? Are you hungry? Because if you're hungry, you're the kind of person I want to work with. And the prospect replied, oh, I've tried a bunch of those before, those types of business before, and they never worked. And we've all been there. We've heard that so many times, even when we're not really, we don't do heavy recruiting, but we always have our opportunity out for people to see. We want them to ask us about it. But that's going to be one of the comments we hear all the time. I've tried that before. It never worked. And I loved what his reply back was. And it was this: what makes this time different? Well, he said the person was not ready for that comment. What makes this time different? He expected me to validate my company and opportunity to him. He expected me to come back with, oh, we have a great comp plan. Oh, our company is different. We're on ground floor. Our products are amazing. We're different. He expected me to do some kind of dance for him. And he said, just because you come at me with your skepticism and your negativity, I'm supposed to dance for you? He goes, no, false, fake news, not going to happen. So I asked him, I didn't tell him that. That's just what he's feeling. He's like, no, I'm not going to do a dance for you. So he asked the question again, why is this time different? And then he came back and said, well, I really need to make more money and I am coachable. And so I thought, oh, that was great. So I'm going to try that, guys. I love that because it was, again, taking control of the conversation there. You're not having to prove anything. The other thing that he said, I gotta find my notes now, so I had to quit writing. Let me move on over here. I gotta find my place here, so just bear with me. He said that energy is so important. He says much less about playing fetch with that person when they say those skeptical things and comments and cynical. It's much more. You don't want to be constantly having to catch that frisbee from that person. It's more about, here's who I am, here's who my company is, welcome to my world. If you're coachable, then we can work together. I'll show you how we can do it. So he said staying postured with that person is it's just key. It's pivotal. He said when you're constantly having to validate your company, it will drain you. He said it's like you just one after another. We're constantly having to hit all the highlights of our company, proving that we're great, proving that I got so and so who's successful. I know how well they've done. It's doable. We can do it. It will drain you. So when you change your posture, he said it's like having to take a shower to get all that grime off of you, because he said that the posture, it's about reminding them, if you're coachable, I can show you how to do it. And there was just that flip. He said, well, I just repeat it. Yeah. He said being coachable was key. And so I know that so many of us have had 2 or 3 slow months, and we have been asking that same question over and over. Oh man, where's everyone at? What has our posture been like? We've just got to change and flip and see the opportunity, put the ball back in our court, and quit playing fetch with people, and change our thinking, get our perspective back in line, and do this thing. So that's what I've got for today. I just thought it was so good, and it spoke to me because I had some of that stinking thinking, and I had to redo my posture, and knowing that I don't have to validate everything. I can just remind them of what opportunity I took, what it's done for me, and share that and be like, okay, if you want to be on my team, I'd love to have you. I want positive people. I want people who are hungry, who want to make more money, who want a life change. If you want to do that, let me show you how.
I definitely think that's one of the things that contributed so much to your success, because that's what you did with so many people that you cared about. You're like, this is the opportunity I took, and this is what it's doing for me. And if you'll let me show you how, it can do the same thing for you. And you like went to Senior Ruby like that because that's the posture that you had of your business.
Yes. And you're right. That's exactly what I did, and not being afraid to show it and sharing that excitement with them. But we can't let 1 or 2 slow months bring that posture down and that momentum down, because it's just going to have an effect. Like I said, you have to constantly wash that grime off of you. And so change our perspectives and remember what we have in front of us. And a lot of people want it, they need it.
I think that's one of the importance, like we talk about a lot too, is like what you're filling your mind with. And we talk about watching diamond documentaries or going through the page and looking at the testimonies, because it's such a reminder of the gift that you have in front of you. And it's easy to flap your thinking around. And I notice that so many times I'll kind of be like having a day or negative morning, and I will put something in front of my mind, or I'll listen to a podcast or something, and it'll completely switch my thinking. And then that's what we're attracting, is
yes,
that kind of thing.
I'm kind of excited about doing the daily audit, because I know that, on my spiritual side, I know that I ask, we have that discernment. Holy Spirit will let me know, like, oh, Carrie, you messed up. But we get put on autopilot in our lives too. Like when we're doing these comments, you're just commenting, one after another. And you just kind of forget, like, oh, did I just really say that? Or did I really just say that to my husband? So I'm kind of looking forward to this looking back at the day before and just doing that checkup, like, okay, spiritually, was I okay? And then physically, was I okay? And then how was I as a team leader or as a, I don't want to say salesperson, but as a consultant to the person asking about our products, how was that person? How did I appear? So I think that checkup is just really a good thing to go through because, like I said, it's easy to get on autopilot, and so I may be a little disappointed in myself, but that's okay. That means that there's some improvement.
I definitely agree with that. I think reflection is one of the biggest things that helps us grow because then we start to apply everything that we're trying to figure out. I think this was great. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think it's a really good reminder to all of us. So I'm really glad that you took the time to help us grow in this area.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any questions before we jump off here?
Look on the comments. I've had individuals respond to my trade ads and are just so negative from the beginning of the conversation. Sometimes it's hard to put a positive spin in the conversation when they say our company is a scam and the products don't work. That's from Chelsea Anderson. Yeah, I mean, we definitely want to fight back when they say that. But one of the things that he said was, especially like when they were asking about the making money on that end of the opportunity, and they start throwing out skepticism. It's like, it's okay. If this isn't for you, that's okay. We would like this opportunity to make more money. It's just, yeah, I just love his attitude.
I think a lot of times too, even if you have those people, like we talk about all of the steps kind of working together. And some people do think that at the beginning, like I'm even sketchy sometimes, like somebody asked me to vote on something for them the other day. And I was like, you want me to like click on a link to like, all these things are going around and it just like we're so skeptical as people. But if you can at least plant that first seed and then be like, well, I can add you to a group and you can see for yourself, or I'd love to become Facebook friends with you. And you can kind of see some things that roll through and it'll probably, okay, this is real. This could work for me. I could do this. I could have results with these products. And it just might take time to build that.
Exactly.
Sometimes people are just mean and then you just block them. So I've got a long block list too.
Me too.
Okay. Well, if nobody else has any more questions or comments, then we'll let you get on with your day. And thank you so much for jumping on here with us.
Bye.
Bye, guys.